Hello and welcome to EduClub TV. This is an initiative of MapMyStudy.com, one of the most popular leading platforms for college admission for students. We get a huge number of queries and students coming on the platform looking and searching for college admission globally. Our platform helps students from 25 different countries, 20,000 different programs, and you can choose from 2,000 different colleges and universities globally. There's a massive choice for students. There's a lot of information that you can get online. You can also talk to an expert, advisor, or a counselor directly online, just sitting at your home or your office. As part of our initiative, we want to go out and learn a lot that's happening in the school education sector and also the higher education sector. The challenges the principals and the senior administrators have had in the last almost 18 months to 2 years now, and engaging with them and understanding how they're dealing with it and what is the future of this industry right now and how students and parents can prepare themselves. So, through that, today we have a very special guest joining us, especially from Ludhiana, a very popular city, a big industrial town. So I like to invite Mr. Ashish Sani, principal of Bal Bharti Public School in Ludhiana.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Sani. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Mr. Bhatia. I hope you're doing well.
I am doing very well. Thank you very much. So, Ludhiana, industrial town, very populated, very popular city. Tell us a little about your school in Ludhiana and maybe a little bit about your background.
Okay, I'll start with my background because that links me to the school in Ludhiana itself.
Okay.
So basically, I am a Delhiite, and fortunately, I have been a student of Bal Bharti Public School, Ludhiana, Pitampura, Delhi.
Oh, okay.
I taught in Bal Bharti School, Pitampura, Delhi, and that is where that I got promoted here to Bal Bharti Public School, Ludhiana as a principal. So all throughout, a Bal Bhartian and a proud Bal Bhartian.
That's so nice.
It's actually very nice when you are a part of institution where you have studied, you have taught, and then you are fortunate enough to lead that institution or a sister institution. That gives you a lot of space to carry that values forward and maybe transmit those values forward as well.
Agree.
I am one of those lucky people who have that kind of fortune, particularly in education space. Besides this, sir, Bal Bharti Public School Ludhiana started in 2007. It was our parent body, Child Education Society, which heads 27 schools across India. We have a pan-India presence with almost 80,000 students and a humongous staff. This was a vision that was shaped in 2005, wherein we decided actually to have an institution which would provide world-class education facilities here in Ludhiana. So 2007, the school took shape and became a senior secondary school very soon. And now we are catering to almost like 2,400 students here in Ludhiana. And many of them are now associated with Bal Bharti School as well as many more industrial units and doing very well in their career fields as well. So that's a very simple background of the school, sir. We always say simple because we believe that schools should be simple. Its students should carry the name forward and they should bring laurels to the country, to the school and to their parents. And that is when school becomes special. And now they've started doing that, we started feeling special. But at core, we are very simple school.
Great, sir. Very well, thank you. And I think your school is till year 12, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, sir.
Great. So I like to start with the burning question. And, we've asked the same question to many principals in different parts of the country now. So we've had interviews from very senior administrative principals from Bangalore, Kochi, Delhi, and many other cities. How were you able to deal with the sudden impact of COVID, where all the schools had to suddenly change their whole model of how they teach, a different strategy altogether? What was the impact for your school and how did you manage that change on a sudden note?
Very valid thing, sir. I've always thought that and believe that, because I'm a commerce background student, that every adversity brings an opportunity with itself.
Yeah.
For long, teachers and schools have been looked upon as an institution and individuals who are very reluctant for accepting any change. Although I personally believe no, that was not the case. But somehow, this situation, the unfortunate situation that unfolded, has expedited that change and dispelled that notion. You know, when every office, every other profession was struggling, teachers in the schools were the first ones to adapt to that change. They have ensured that every child has continued with her and his learning at exactly the same pace and in the same manner that would have been there had the schools been functioning normally. So, in a sense, it has dispelled that notion that they are reluctant to change. They have reinforced the confidence and the faith in the institutions like schools, wherein everybody now feels more empowered. I mean, teachers were knowing, but somehow some of them were not willing to experiment that much. Now they were forced to do that. Now, with that kind of change that has happened, there is what we call as a forced expeditiousness in the process of transmission or change to a better technology or better methods. So this is the entire landscape, how this has changed over a period of time, and was expedited by the pandemic. So I must, before answering your question in detail, I must congratulate the entire teacher fraternity and the management and the administrations of the schools who have adapted to this situation and have risen to this challenge. Particularly for Bal Bharti, now answering and coming down to your question straight away. At Bal Bharti, sir, the teachers have always been equipped with the technology, and we have always believed in technology-aided training and teaching. So that came in very handy when this kind of situation unfolded. Within just about 5 days, we were able to set up and train our teachers how to handle online classes and how to go about with the normal course of learning. As a school, we have made sure that the entire system is foolproof. There is no possibility of any outsider entering into any classrooms or kind of privacy erosion of any student. Individual IDs were given, the school specific IDs were given, and those school domain IDs were the only access that a child could have to an online class. So no outsider, no infringement of any privacy, and all records maintained digitally with all kinds of submissions as well. So the entire process went on very smoothly. Besides this, sir, the school has taken a lot of effort to equip itself with technology-aided teaching aids also. Technology-enabled teaching aids, I'll correct myself. So we have kind of equipped our classrooms with interactive panels. The panels which are online, and whatever is displayed there or whatever teacher writes there is directly transmitted to the class and to the students online, as well as visible in case they are in offline, as in today's scenario. Since we are running in hybrid mode these days, a part of student is coming to school and a part of class is at home. So the students that are at home are not missing anything. They see the entire class sitting there, they see the teacher presence there, and the entire board work being displayed onto their screens. So the entire effort, I would say, was to ensure that there is no learning gap, there is no gap in terms of teaching as well. So I must thank my school administration and management also for helping us and providing all the resources for equipping us to overcome this unfortunate situation.
Well, that's great to know. You already had technology as a play for you in a school. I think maybe that's the reason teachers were able to adapt much faster. There's an interesting thing that you had mentioned, and we see this now happening with a lot of schools. With this hybrid model, there's a very small percentage of students that are willing to come to the class. And there is that whole ambiguity between should I go to the class or not, because half the friends are there and they're not there. but a majority is still looking at studying from online. How are you able to balance that? And do you see the same thing happening in Ludhiana, or is it that majority are coming to the classroom? What's the situation in Ludhiana right now?
Sir, I'll answer your question in two parts. The first one being, with the hybrid system, the students are unwilling to come to school. Yes, every one of us fall into their comfort zones after some time, and we find it very difficult to break that mold. Unfortunately, what has happened is that with this situation, there's a kind of inertia that has set in both in students as well as in parents also. Parents don't have to get up early in the morning. Mothers don't have to cook meal. Right? A child is at comfort in AC, possibly sitting on a sofa, comfortable sofa, taking his or her own classes. Right? That's a sort of inertia that we don't like to break out of. In this entire scenario, what I see and perceive is that the child is a loser actually. Reason being that all of us must appreciate it is not the time that they are losing. It's not the presence in the school that is being lost. It's a part of their childhood that they are losing. Interaction with their friends, the kind of social group that they create, the kind of, I would say, acceptance, how to behave in the society, that kind of social sense that is generated in the school, how to interact with opposite gender. Right? There are lots of discussions that happen in peer group wherein you decide your career course. That normal chit chat. They are losing that part of their childhood.
I agree. The whole learning curve is disrupted now. And that's all part of the whole provision of going to a school. That the whole learning curve is very important for every child. I agree.
Right. So it's not just about education. The school is an entire ecosystem which provides you a lot of support in the holistic development. Right, so that is where the child is losing the other parts. Maybe the education part is continuing, but that discipline, that kind of social skills, that emotional quotient, that part is being still being uncatered.
Sure.
Coming down to Ludhiana and our school in particular, sir. Yes, my interaction with some of my fellow principals here is coming down to a situation that this kind of inertia we also feel is there in Ludhiana parents and students. But to be very honest, sir, we are a little lucky. In our school, at present also, we have about 95% of the students coming to school on certain days, and the average attendance, as per their numbers and as per the government protocols, is still about 90 plus across classes. That is from grade 1 to senior secondary.
That's pretty high. That's quite good.
Yes. And we are blessed that our parents and our students believe in the core values that we stand for.
That's very encouraging to see. And I would have assumed, because the travel times within a smaller city are not as much as Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, so parents don't mind saying, look, it's I can still drop my child in my own convenience or whatever. I think that could have helped, but it's good to see that you still have almost 90+% still attending now. So how do you manage the current technology side we know we're looking at hybrid, but what role is technology really playing in your school right now?
It's an interesting question. I would say technology has brought teacher and students together.
Right.
A child always felt that my teacher, my parent is not that well aware of situations and current technologies and current setups. So somewhere down the line, when they see their teachers using YouTube videos, generating their own virtual videos, in our school we have teachers who have generated their own artificial intelligence aided videos wherein they were explaining solar system. and the
Okay.
teacher was appearing as a part of a solar system and moving from one planet to another.
Very
So,
interesting.
so when they do that, they earn that extra sense of respect and admiration from their students. So they have kind of been able to bridge that learning gap, or maybe that acceptance gap with their students. So this is the very big positive that has come out of this situation. Secondly, sir, obviously, it has made teachers much more aware, and maybe much more acceptable. I would say they have much more and much higher acceptance of what is going around them, because they are also now keen to explore various other sources of information beyond what is there in regular textbooks also. So this is from the teacher's point of view. From the student's point of view, obviously they don't mind helping their teachers. Ma'am, your video is not stable, so you need to adjust this thing, or maybe your audio is not clear, so you can switch on to this part of your mic and adjust these settings. So that kind of bonding has now developed.
Yeah, so I was about to say that technology is helping them bond a little bit more. Where I think you rightly mentioned, students have more respect for the teachers now to say, यार इनको भी टेक्नोलॉजी आती है, ये भी YouTube में वीडियोस बना लेते हैं. ये तो बहुत अच्छा है. So they'll now probably have this common connection. मैम आपने कितने वीडियो अपलोड करे? मैंने तो 10 कर दिए. So there's more topics for them to discuss on. Very interesting.
No, they are very aware now that if I would put a video on either a Facebook or an Instagram, my teacher will immediately see what is going on.
What is going on? No, true. So just out of curiosity, I wanted to ask, because I know there was always a challenge before COVID. How easy was it for the teachers in your school to adapt to this, to the technology side of it? We know it's, one is only to simply deliver a class, but there's a lot more that goes beyond delivering a class. It's about signing up. It's about making sure that your cameras are all there, everything is there, your Wi-Fi's are working, you have your own, I'm assuming, CRMs, everything is loaded on that. So there's a very deep role now technology played during this. So how easy was it for them? What was your challenge with your teachers there?
So I shared that with you beforehand also, since we are always a part of group which is cited with technology enabled teaching.
Right,
so a lot of our teachers were already equipped to handle at least the basic part of it.
Okay.
Even in our recruitment processes, we ensure that we get, or we actually want teachers who are a little bit tech savvy.
Okay.
Besides that, we always have that regular part of our program, wherein training programs in school, wherein the teachers and even the support staff members, not just admin staff or teachers, we ensure that they have that basic understanding of using technology, computers, and handling basic hardware systems. Now that always came in handy. But yes, as you said, adapting to a situation for which you are not trained was very, very difficult. It would have been, but they rose to the challenge, and kudos to them. We had training sessions for almost like 6 to 7 hours for 4-5 days, and then teachers took classes of their fellow colleagues, 5, 7, 10 minutes demo sessions, so that they would feel comfortable in the class. And the entire process was streamlined and put in place within 6 days, as I told you earlier also. 6 days itself. After 6 days, we started with our online sessions in full force, and which till date are continuing in the manner as suggested by the government, 50% offline and 50% online.
That's very interesting.
And this entire process had a lot of contributors to it. Obviously, the first one being teachers. The second one being the management, which facilitated the entire process. And third one being, I will always say, invisibles, like Google, like Microsoft Teams, like Zoom also, YouTube also, and a host of education portals. I mean, we somehow failed to mention them and credit them for their contribution in this sector as well. You know, had they not been able to provide free setups, in most of the cases, I would say,
Yeah.
maybe a part of this would have been lost as well.
Yeah, I think you very rightly put. There these channels play a lot more role than we kind of understand, because there's a lot of complementary system between them and the teaching. So there's the data coming from there, there are videos coming from there. Very true, very true. I wanted to ask you another important question, and this is something that we are very keen on understanding and learning from how the schools are preparing themselves on. There's always been a challenge on career counseling. There's been a challenge that we've always had on the right career choice. I always mention this, that Bollywood movies are made on it. If you end up with the wrong career choice, things like those. As a school, do you have any mechanism right now where a child is able to explore new career options, or there is a career planning system that you have within the school?
Right. I must say yes, we have. And before I start sharing the details of mine, I must say that it is required that all schools should have.
Yes.
And again, coming down to the exact question, I must always say, because I believe this should be going out to students also,
Yes.
that yes, it is important to make good career choices, but sometimes we all goof up in life. It is important to start and pick up whenever you realize that you were wrong, and start on the right path at that time itself. So that is also very important for the students to understand, who would be listening to this interview either today, tomorrow, or whenever. As a school, sir, we always believe that a student is entitled and has a right to choose a choice or a career choice or subject choice in which he feels comfortable, he or she feels comfortable. Right? So primarily we do not kind of force these kind of things that yes, you are not entitled for this or you're not eligible for this. We have an in-house system wherein our counselors, our senior teachers, special educators, they sit and interact with parents multiple times during the years. And when I say years, that means primarily from 8th class onwards, because
Right.
that is the time, when the acceptance, that is the age group when a sense of acceptance and a sense of realization that you are a part of society and you have to behave as a member of the society starts coming in. Before that, it's a pure childhood kind of thing.
Yeah.
So at that moment, we start with this kind of mechanism wherein our senior teachers, the counselors, they keep on interacting with parents. Now, in class 9th onwards, from class 9th onwards, what we start with interaction with parents also, and we organize regular counseling sessions with experts also from outside. They are professional career counselors also. They are the persons who are able to evaluate, and maybe they conduct psychosomatic tests also for the students, career choice tests also, wherein they define the kind of bent of mind and the understanding that a child has. And accordingly, career choices are listed for the parents and the students, and they can choose accordingly. Now, having said that, I still will stand with the point that this is only a kind of a mechanical thing. If a child or a parent still believes that yes, I have a different choice and a bent of mind, we encourage that kind of thing. As an institution, we provide liberal choice of subjects wherever possible and supported, as on subjects which are sanctioned by CBSE, and we have preferences for them, we have approvals for them. In case a child wants a liberal kind of combination, we do offer that as per the timetable of the school. Our teachers, senior teachers, are sent for regular counseling and training sessions. Like recently, CBSE has started a program for teachers wherein the teachers have to be trained for career guidance and counseling sessions. So 3 of our senior teachers have enrolled for them. School has facilitated that enrollment for them, and they are being trained for that purpose, so that we have a good pool of insiders also, apart from counselors, for teachers also and for students also. It is very helpful because teachers are the one who are in regular contact with the students.
Correct.
Special sessions would be probably once in a month, twice in a month. But if a teacher is there to guide them throughout, and the teacher that they trust most, is something that is automatically going to result in good career choices. So,
very rightly said. And I think teachers play a very important role, because I was about to ask that, the relationship a teacher has with a student is far more closer. And I think we always used to go to a teacher to say, what should I do next? What my career path should be, as an advice. And if they are professionally trained and they have the information, then there's a better impact for a student there, I believe.
Very true. Besides this, I was just adding that besides that, we encourage kind of internal discussions with students, some group discussions, things, wherein the students are encouraged to discuss about career choices with the school. So, somebody has an engineer in the family, they can discuss how their brother or sister or parent went about their career choices. What were the things that they faced? How did they prepare? So that, a first-hand experience and interaction with their peers has a lasting impression.
Yes,
then as an institution, we have conceptualized, although we have not yet implemented, we have already conceptualized a program wherein we would be inviting parents to have interaction with our students and share something from their professional experience and background. Some parent is good in yoga. Somebody is a very renowned chartered accountant, a bank manager, a civil services officer. They coming and sharing with the students the kind of experiences that they have, sharing the kind of practical things that students should look out for while making career choices, what are the struggles involved, and what are the rewards that they would be getting. That gives a lot of positive, I would say, feedback and information to these students to make positive career choices. At the same time, it helps them develop a sense of respect for the kind of work that their parents are doing.
Yes. I think it's a very smart move where you have the parents coming in and people who have from diverse backgrounds. But I'm sure there's always a challenge of balancing that, because involvement of parents in the school system is not that easy. But I think it's a very good idea. It's a very innovative idea. So how well is it working? I mean, do you see any positive response from when the children talk to parents about their experiences?
Sir, I told you that we have conceptualized this. So far,
you haven't started yet, so my apologies.
We have been able to have only one session till now. That went pretty well.
Okay.
And the parent that we invited was a yoga instructor. So she and that was the need of the hour actually. With staying back at home, lots of students have lost that zeal to move out and run around. So just to inculcate and maybe just to emphasize that kind of importance of physical fitness at this moment of time, we had that interaction that went very, very successful. That was successful.
Yeah, so best of luck on that. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I hope that works for the school, because people coming from the real life, real experience, real scenarios are better acceptable by the society and with the kids, because you're able to relate to them. There is a common connection they see. So I hope that works very well for you. I wanted to touch base on one aspect where we see a lot of like you talked about the parents model. Do you have a regular system where students or where parents are involved in the operational activity, or do you have any parents group that is part of your school that is regularly involved in the activities and operations of the school?
So we have a system wherein the suggestions of the parents are considered and wherever possible they are incorporated. Ideas are invited, but I have always maintained that ideas have their own time of maturing. Not every idea is possible and implementable at the time it is mooted. So we have a functional PTA body. We have
Okay.
open access to parents who can approach me directly, HMs, and teachers directly. And specific instructions have been given to the entire staff member for any suggestion that is received from parents should be directly forwarded to the principal's office. Yes,
Okay.
as an administrator, we actually go through the modalities that what is required at that moment of time, and if possible, we try and implement it that time. Otherwise, as and when the time comes for that idea, they are implemented and implemented in the spirit that they were shared with. I would just share one example for that as well.
Sure.
There was a suggestion from our parents that we must start looking at some kind of uh, writing skills for our students, because in online classes they've not been writing much. So we thought, yes, that is important. Classes 6th, 7th onwards, they start writing. They have to do their homework. But what about grade 1 onwards? They were losing that habit of writing things. So that idea was immediately taken up. We drafted the worksheets. These worksheets were drafted as paragraphs and maybe some kind of social messages. Now, they were small paragraphs based on honesty, integrity, on freedom struggle, on cultural integrity of India. A child just had to collect that from the school, and looking at that paragraph, he or she had to replicate it 4 or 5 times in his or her own handwriting and submit it back to school as and when instructed. So a very simple idea, but for us it was important in a sense that child should retain that habit of writing. At the same time, we improvise that idea to circulate and reinforce our core values. So, idea with the kind of bent that we required has given a lot of credibility to that idea also, as well as helped our students at that moment of time in the area that they required.
And that's good. And I think that's a very good start for you as well. So, look, I'm getting very enticed by asking you a very personal and a question that because you were a student of the same group at the same school where you're now teaching and now you're a principal. Was there something that came to your mind when you became a principal? Something that you wanted to change as a student of the same school? When we are students, we always criticize and say, "Yaar, ye theek nahi hai, wo theek nahi hai, ye change karna chahiye, wo change karna chahiye." You came to the position of authority where you could change something. I really want to understand, was there something like this? And if you were able to do something there as a school student, now a principal of the same school.
I am privileged one. I said that before as well. Yes, as a student, I would be wrong in saying that, students don't criticize, they don't find faults. Yes, but then, over a period of time when we grow out of school, we realize how important those things and those teachings were.
Right.
There was a time, and there will always be a time when we graduate out of class 12th and are out of school system for about, let's say, 5-7 years at least. That's a time when social maturity and the mental maturity comes into being, and then you start realizing, no, your parents and your teachers were right at this point of time, and this moment and this suggestion by them was right, although you were not ready to accept it at that time.
Right.
So I would say I'm malleable enough to acknowledge it, that yes, there were instances, but then 100% of those got resolved in my mind itself by the time I was graduating out of the college.
Interesting.
Besides this, I've always maintained one thing, sir. A man is a product of his or her experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And my experiences in Bal Bharti have always been very, very positive. I, as a student, got chances that I believe would not have been available to me had I been studying in some other institution, both academically, both in sports, in any other kind of curricular or co-curricular activities. But they were available to me because the education pedagogy of Bal Bharati schools and the philosophy of the Child Education Society ensures that every child gets that kind of opportunity. So since I have those positive experiences, I am just trying to translate them into practice in Bal Bharati Public School, Ludhiana.
So nice to hear that. If I was you, I would have made a list and said, I'm going to change these 5-10 things that I want to do as a student. But nice of you to not do that. And probably, yes, I agree. We all grow up and we learn that, that was required. That was part of our system. So that brings me to my last question to you for today. I think it's about your message to the current youths. If there is something that you'd like to share to the current aspiring youths, that would be very nice.
Okay, that's a difficult one because youth is much more aware than we are. Because I am around like middle age now, and I believe that would be somewhere that you would also be standing at.
Yeah. True.
That this question brings me to a very important part, and that is like in one of the interviews with one of the leading dailies last month, they asked me what are the most challenging things that you have faced in your career. And I was so proud that I could not think of any single challenge to point it out at that moment of time. And the only reason that I believed was that since I've already overcome them, they are no longer challenges.
Right.
So as a message, I would just like to share that, social media is a kind of thing that you should be very, very wary of and acceptable at the same time. Current youth or the kids in that age group, they have somehow started believing that this is the most authentic and possibly the only source of information that they have.
Right.
Which unfortunately and luckily is not true. It is important for all of these young students and entire youth to understand that this is just one part of information which might be correct, might not be correct, and they have to find alternate ways of getting the exact information and then to differentiate and discriminate what is right, what is wrong. And obviously, we totally trust them to choose the right path once they have the correct information. But they must understand that this medium has its own pitfalls, its own shortcomings, which somehow they have started overlooking. So it's important and imperative that they should actually start looking at the other side of the coin as well.
Very true, and I think it's a good message to all of us. I think to the current youths, year 12, younger kids in the college, social media is good, but I think it's important for you to understand the deeper meaning of it. Do not rely on the information just blindly in it. Make sure that where you are, you're more aware of the information that is passed on to you. So with that, thank you very much, Mr. Sani. It was great to have you with us.
One more thing.
Thank you very much for your time.
I would not be ending here, sir. Ending here. I would be sharing one personal message for them as well. And that is that in life, please, they should always remember 3 words. One is hard work. Second is resilience. And third is gratitude. It's my personal experience. Hard work will get you places. Hard work can create talent any given moment of the day. But talent never creates hard work. So it's important to be hardworking. They must understand and realize the importance of hard working. Resilience, mental strength is very, very important. It's important to understand that there will be failures in life. There will be moments where you'd feel low, there will be moments you will feel high. But if you have mental strength, that resilience, you will always sail through situations that you believe are not good. third is gratitude. Gratitude, expressing thankfulness and being thankful for everyone who does good in your life and forgiving to everyone who does bad to you is the only mantra to have a successful and a happy life. So they must remember 3 words. Hard work, it will create talent at any given moment of the day. Resilience is going to ensure that you will sail through hard times, and gratitude will always ensure that you are popular, accepted, and at inner self you will be at peace with yourself. If they follow these 3 things, which I believe I have followed in my life and still trying to, I'm still a learner here, as every teacher, as every student, I believe I am growing, I am still growing, but these are 3 things which were shared by my teachers with me, my parents with me, and I believe they've helped me throughout. And I'm sure if you follow them, maybe you can add 2 or 3 more words from your side. They're going to help you lead a very happy and successful life.
Very beautifully said. And I think that's a good learning thing for all our viewers. And I'm sure when they listen to you, when they listen to all the 3 words you've mentioned, and they put it into real life practice, that will certainly help them in their life. So thank you very much for your time, Mr. Soni. It was great to have you. And we really, really like to thank you for all your time and the expertise and what you've engaged our audience with today.
Thank you, Bhatia ji. Thank you, and all the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.